Hello, my name is Kevin. This is Danny and Danny of recording. We are exercise science students, and today we're gonna show or talk about the exercise for the resistance training machines that we're gonna correlate to the soccer sport. First, the scheme that we're gonna do is the strength scheme. According to Essential, this is the basic strength, and it is performed during the preseason after the anatomical adaptation that the athlete required before doing this phase. And the volume for this part is gonna be moderate to high, and the intensity is gonna be high because the load weight we're gonna use is for the strength scheme is above 85%, and the number of repetition is 2 to 6, and the same for the sets, 2 to 6 sets.
Okay, so our sport is soccer. And the motions that you see in soccer are hip extension, hip flexion, leg extension when you're running, hip abduction when you're receiving the ball, hip abduction eccentrically when you're receiving the ball, and a lot of trunk rotation, especially when you kick. You want to rotate your body, so having strong trunk rotators are important. Additionally, knee flexion is important in soccer, especially in the eccentric when you're kicking the ball. The primary energy system are anaerobic as well as oxidative.
So for today, for the soccer movement analysis, which Danny gave already, we're looking at a whole group of muscles throughout the entire body. Soccer is a full body sport. And so you're going to be using a lot of your trunk muscles. Especially your lower extremities are going to be the muscle groups that are primarily worked. So you have quads, hamstrings, all the hip extensors, hip flexors, and especially the calf muscles and lower ankle. And so the purpose of today's RT exercises selected was to get at the osteokinematic motions that are primarily involved in soccer, to allow for good strength transfer into the on-field athlete's performance. So the exercises that we selected today that we filmed and demonstrated were the leg extensions, the hamstring curls, both hip adduction and hip abduction. We had trunk rotators as well as the leg press.
So the first exercise that we're gonna choose for the strength scheme is the incline leg press, because this is a multi-joint exercise, and basically the main muscle that we're gonna work for the leg press are the knee extensors, the quadriceps muscle group, and because also the gravity is creating like hip flexion, so we need the action of the hip extensor to compensate that action and isometrically contract the core muscles. Concentric phase for the exercise respecting to the knee is gonna be the pushing forward phase, like where the muscles are shortening, and the eccentric phase is gonna be the opposite. Just we are decelerating the action of the weight on our body, so the muscles are lengthening. The exercise that we're gonna do is a trunk rotation on the cable. So first we wanna adjust the height so it's similar to our standard shoulder forward, and we're trying to concentrically contract the right rotators in one part of the exercise, and then in the going back phase it's gonna be eccentric contraction of that same muscle group. And remember that it's a strength scheme, so we're gonna perform 2 to 6 repetitions and near maximal load, 85% or higher. And then after we finish with one side, we're gonna alternate and do the other side.
So for the knee extensor exercise, you're going to be using primarily the quads, all of the quad muscle region, and the concentric phase is from the lower phase where the knee's 90 to when it goes to 0 degrees. The eccentric phase will be on the way back down. And before you start the exercise, make sure to adjust the seat and other equipment weight to the client's or athlete's height and number of sets and reps.
The next exercise are hamstring curls, lying hamstring curls. So for this exercise, you want to adjust the padding according to the height. So I would shorten it for my height and have the pad onto the superior part of my ankle. And then you want to do flexion, working out the hamstrings, so bicep femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus. And that's the concentric phase, and then going down is the eccentric phase. And then you have the bench as your stabilizer, so you hold on to the side. So the next exercise is the hip abduction, horizontal hip abduction. So you start here, seated, and then you bring both of your legs out through full range of motion, and this works out the hip abductors, so tensor fasciae lata, gluteus maximus side of it. And then so the concentric phase, you're opening out, and then the eccentric is coming back in.
So for the hip adductors group, make sure that before you get on, that the seat is adjusted, that the athlete's gait can fit the machine. The concentric phase will be from a leg spread position to a closing in the sagittal plane alignment, and then eccentric going back to the start position. And for this group, you're working the inner thigh muscles, which is also known as the adductor group.
So in conclusion, remember to always perform the exercise to full range of motion and having the point of contact to have a stable surface. And we choose this strength scheme because it's very important foundation that the athlete has to build before transferring to the power phase of the training period. And the more specific with the sport related stuff that we're gonna do later on closer to the competition phase.